Welcome back to Stationeers, and a bit of a bug fixing episode, it seems. Remember our furnace setup that we started last episode? Well, we finished last episode, but it's still not working amazingly. Let me show you why. Well, you can see it's on, so that part's working. So let's take a look at the input. We've got... Our input is the correct mix. It is at minus 3.6 degrees. That's perfectly fine as far as I'm concerned. Well, on our output here, we've got our input analyzer and our output analyzer. Now, we don't actually need those anymore in the programming. I'll show you why in a second. But they are really handy for me to see the content of the pipe, so I've left them in place. I did get a good comment saying, hey, you could just replace this valve with the pump and have the circuitry switch on the pump, so that'll save a valve. So yes, we can absolutely do that. That would be quite nice, a nice enhancement, but that has nothing to do with this problem. It's just a quick, brief aside. So let's just turn that computer off. On the input, you can see this is both carbon dioxide, oxygen, etc. So the furnace is on, obviously, because we can see the amount that we've got in here. Our programming says at the top, we'll just go through this very briefly. I've hooked up, by the way, the furnace itself to the data network, so we'll use its sensors as the most accurate that we can, really, or the closest we can. So if the button is 1, then digital valve on is 1, so flush the system, and turn off the regulator, so on 0. Someone did say it's set to on. No, this is just the on setting. It has a 0 and a 1, so set the furnace regulator to off, basically. Then, when the furnace pressure is equal to 0, and I've tried temperature, and I've tried pressure and temperature for both of these. Temperature, i.e. when temperature is 0, that's when temperature is meaningless, essentially, when there's nothing left in the system. It's not like absolute 0 or anything. So, but we try with pressure, and this works, this line works, so you can use that exact line. Then turn off the digital valve and turn on the regulator, so the opposite of the previous state. And then state 3, this is where it gets there's a problem. It does this and it starts to refill. In fact, let's just push the button. So you'll see it's emptying now, and if I hover there, you'll see it's emptying. It starts to refill, but at a certain point, and when it's refilling, it's got the correct ingredients. So there's no oxygen, or pollutant, or volatiles, no carbon dioxide in either of these two, nor in the furnace, as far as I'm concerned. It's just got oxygen and hydrogen from our tank mix. However, at a certain point, around about 70... Oh, I lost power. Oh, that's just my backpack. At a certain point, around 70k in pressure, it ignites. And there's no reason why it should ignite. We shouldn't have... as far as I'm concerned, there's no reason it should ignite anyway. There is no high temperatures going on. The furnace is cooled, I think. Let's give it a... Well, you'll see in a second once it's finished flushing. But it ignites. And as soon as it does that, it invalidates this line of code that says furnace pressure is greater than 100, because the furnace pressure is greater than 100. So it turns off the regulator, which is good in a way. That sort of that stops us pumping fuel in continually while it's ignited. But at the same time, I don't want it to actually ignite, and there's no code in here doing it. So it's got to be either auto ignition happening because of some temperature, because of some previous stuff that's in there, or just a weird bug. And I'm on the beta branch, so who knows, it may be a weird bug. But I will leave you down in the comments to try and suggest other things, but I've pretty much been through every setting. We've got this stable now to actually fill, so that there's no longer any problems with that. But yeah, so you can see the temperature's falling. It's 500 degrees. It's still on number 2. Let's have a look. Pressure equals 0, so we want to wait for the pressure to equal 0. To be honest, when it equals exactly 0, the temperature should be again meaningless here, so it should switch over once we've got something nice and useful. Well, let's just leave that for a little while and see what happens once it switches over. And it's just switched over, literally. You can see the output analyzer says there's only oxygen and volatiles in there. The temperature is room temperature, essentially. So, you know, we haven't got it at... we haven't got it at minus 60, that much is for certain, but it's essentially 0 degrees Celsius. So that's that. On both the input and the output, it's saying oxygen and volatiles only, no moles of anything else. And the same thing in here, O2, H2, nothing else. Okay, so we are refilling, and that looks perfect up till now. But as long as we don't lose power to our computer, that is, depends what it's like. Let's just check our batteries. Ooh, just one battery left. That may be fine. I've put some more solar panels in, by the way. There's like 4 or 5 more solar panels up there. I made a battery in here just to make sure. But 39, 40. So let's jump forward till it gets near 70 or so. And there we go. It hit 60 kPa and immediately ignited from room temperature to 2,500 Kelvin. Now, that sort of works in that pressure and temperature I can actually use to smelt some metals. So let's just try iron. And will you produce iron? You will produce iron just fine, but I don't want it to auto-ignite. And there's no seeming reason, unless I'm just missing something really obvious. I've looked for other settings in the furnace on the wiki. There is nothing immediately in there saying, hey, are you empty of absolutely everything other than pressure and temperature, etc.? Those are just the 2 values we can actually grab. And other than that, yeah, I'm a little bit stumped. So there's nothing really much I can do with this at the moment. So I think we'll have to leave that. Maybe we'll get some comments. Someone may give me a... Oh, it's run out of... yeah, it's not hot enough anymore, or not enough pressure. No, it's not hot enough for iron, but we got one load out of it. So yeah, I'm not going to do that. I think what I'm going to do for now is... well, we can't really go beyond this stage, can we? Because we can refill, but at a certain point we can stop it, but only around like 60 instead of 100. So yeah, I'm not too enthused with this at the moment. We can leave it and it'll be fine, and I can run copper through it and iron through it, but only one at a time, really. I want to be able to pressurize this to a higher degree. So we won't need these displays again, so I can actually... Whoops, I'm going to need some jetpack fuel. We're going to remove these displays eventually once we get the bugs worked out, or the kinks worked out of this system. But in the meantime, they're useful just so you can see that nothing weird is going on here, that was just fuel going in and coming out onto the output line. Nothing special going on there, really. Okay, so now I think what I'm going to do is just add a refill station for I think for my jetpack. I think I'm going to use CO2 because it's cheap, available, and there's no reason not to, essentially. So we want something along this sort of lines here. And let's do I have any pipe? Not very many. I guess we've got to turn that back on. Are you down nicely recharging? Looks like it. It's lasted through the night anyway, so those extra solar panels are working quite well. And ooh, that's one thing I should do right away. We had this circuitry die during the night, and that means I had to reset things with the wrench, and I don't want to do that ever again. So we're just going to disable that for a second and put a power controller in. That way. Okay. And then, whoops, we're going to need a battery. Not a very large one. Let's just undo that. Grab one of the small batteries, because the circuitry doesn't take much. So if the rest of the power dies, this will just be a battery backup, essentially. There we go. To protect our circuitry from the rest of the network, or from me using up all the power. That's fine. Let's, oh, where is my... I've got a stack of U in there. Let's just replace... Oh, I forgot it does that. Someone did actually give me a tip saying it's easy to change colour by merging the stacks like that, by grabbing the red and the blue, but I just merged them into a single stack of 50 red. Fine, no problem. We can get through that. So let's just turn this on, and we're going to have to make some more pipe, aren't we? I don't have very much. All that stuff's going to roll away. So we're going to want a similar situation to this. We don't need an input on this side, so having this lined up would be nice. There we go. Yeah, why don't we have it like that? Okay, And then we can just fit a regulator. I can't grab the one off that one, so I'm going to have to make another one unless we've got one in the cupboard. Sorry, the locker. No regulators. Fine, we'll make one of those as well. Let's just grab all of you and dump you in the pipe bender. Forgot the name of it for a second. And there we go. We got a tank which should be full of CO2. It is. So that can be trough. And we can put that back in there. In fact, let's just swap it with our existing one. There we go. And that should pressurize. It's set to 8,000 K. So that should do just fine. One other thought I did have for this one, and in case anyone suggests it, what I thought we could do as well is this third state. We can set this pressure to be like over, instead of 1,100, we can set it to over 2,000. It would keep pumping in until we got to a useful working temperature. The only downside of doing that is that to get this whole system to start up so I can use something, I'd have to wait for it to flush, go through, fill, auto-ignite, and keep feeding until I got to the right temperature and pressure. Because we can have multiple conditions. You know, the pressure must be higher than one thing, temperature must be higher than another, etc. And we could add that in there just fine, but it would take like 5 minutes to start up the furnace every time. So it's not as great as pushing this when I finish and having this just recycle itself and be ready for me to just hit that button and have everything going. So I did think about that, but rather not. But if that's our only way, then maybe that's our only way. In the meantime, let's head on with other stuff. Now, ideally, I'm probably going to need quite a bit more pipe, because in order to feed this furnace system back into the rest of our gas network, we're going to need lots of pipe to send it over there, first of all the way down the back. But also, I'm probably going to want plenty of radiators and something to just control it automatically. So let me just set up the far end of it, and then I can just connect it up once that's done. I'm not going to leave this alone, however, because last time I did that, I ended up with about 400 cable coil just sort of in a beanbag shape on the output of my tools. So the idea is here we're going to feed into here. So if we want to have something here, and we're going to run it down, and then we're going to have some kind of control, but we're going to do so. Let's just get this sorted. We're going to have that control back there a little bit, I think. We'll sort out the junction once everything's done. And then we're going to want some kind of valve here that only really opens once this mix is below a certain temperature. I'd like it to be below a certain temperature before it even enters into the system. Even though this has radiators here as well, I'm just adding more safeguards more than anything else. So we're going to want to control, and I'm not going to do it by computer because it's quite wasteful in power. Really good when you've got lots of stuff to do. When you've only got very little, it's not that much of a problem. So we're going to want I want to steal one of these. Can I get away with stealing one of those? I think I can. I don't think I need the input analyzer at all anyway, because I can always read it from the output, which is always connected to the furnace. So it's not like there's ever going to be a difference between these, I don't think. Maybe. Let's just borrow this once I find the right tool. There we go. So now with this, we can read the temperature anywhere. And we're going to have to put it, helps if you turn it so that it faces there we go. So we have the analyzer here, and then I guess right after it, we're going to have the valve. I think I do have one of those, unlike the pressure regulator. I think I had a spare one. That's a regular valve. Is it in this locker? Yeah, there we go. Digital valve. Okay, so let's just grab that. And this doesn't go around a pipe. It is essentially the pipe. So that will... Why is it high pressure? Why am I high pressure? You know, sometimes the game bugs slightly. No, there's no problem. Okay. So we're going to need power over here. We've got power here, so that's going to work perfectly fine. And then we're going to want a little bit of electronics, and we're going to have to say if the temperature here is below freezing, do we want to say? Well, freezing as in 0 degrees C. Maybe, or maybe less than, I don't know, less than 100 degrees, or maybe less than 50 degrees, something like that. Then we want to open the valve. Otherwise, shut the valve. So that should be straightforward with electronics. We shouldn't need a computer for it. Do I have any electronics printed? I don't think I do. No, let's go and print some. We're going to have to dump this out anyway. So let's get all that stuff back. What are we going to need? So we're going to be able to read the read the analyzer. We're going to want to compare it to a value, and then we're going to want to write to the valve. So that's going to be 2 input outputs, a processor, and a memory unit. That should be enough. So let's just grab, it's probably going to be just gold and copper. Let's just give this a go. So logic memory, there we go. Logic memory, we just want one of those. And we only want one processor. Oh, that's taking a little longer than I expected. Let's cut forward through that. And through the magic of editing, we have all of our stuff. So I think there's probably space here without too much of a problem. So we're going to want the writer. So let's just put the writer here. That's a reader. Let's put a writer there, and we can sort of rearrange this a little bit so that we don't have to worry too much about space. Yeah, that should do the job. And we want the reader as well. That can do the same. And then we just got to put this somewhere. And it needs access to all 4 sides. Power is this side. So let's just put it there, I think. Yeah, that should be fairly compact. And finally, just the memory unit. So that will be there. So we could isolate this with a power controller if we wanted to. I sort of feel the need to do that everywhere these days. It just makes things so much nicer when you're trying to look for something on a subnetwork that you don't have to go through all the options for its power controller. Do we have enough stuff? Need iron and solder. Iron is fine. Solder we have lots of. Is that Invar? Did I just pick Invar? I did just pick up Invar. Solder. There we go. We're enough for 6 before we have to make more solder in the furnace of bugginess. Let's just get that to finish. There we go. And sunrise. And still that chunk problem. We should fix that. Maybe they can't. Maybe it just takes a lot of effort to fix it. Minecraft certainly had its share of chunk loading bugs for years. So let's hope they fix it faster than that. Let's put in a junction. There we go. And then here, pretty much all of this needs to be connected to each other. So it's not going to be too that tidy, but it is at least going to be compact. There we go. And 4-way junctions here, I think. Yeah. And there. And here. And just a junction here, I think. Oh, in fact, no, a corner will do the job. Because this only needs one connection, so there's no real problems there. Connect this up. We want a 4-way there as well. 4-way junction. I think it's just junctions from now. Yeah, let's just rotate that. And rotate this. Sorry, not rotate it, but just place it. Then we should be done. Alright, so we should have connectivity for everything. And we now need to just turn this on. There we go. Flip that on. I don't think I actually want any kind of battery backup here. It's perfectly fine. So we're just going to need to read a few things. Let's turn you on, and the valve can stay shut. We want to say, well, we've got to be careful about just saying temperature less than a certain amount, because the temperature, no, it's fine. Yeah, its temperature's fine. Because if it is as it is now, it will open this valve as soon as I put the programming in. So I need a screwdriver. no idea why you need a screwdriver for this. I should just be able to use your open hand, I think. There shouldn't be any need for that. So, logic pipe analyzer, we want to read the temperature. Turn you on. And what temperature do you want? Let's say it's 50 degrees maybe, or 273 Kelvin is freezing. So 303, 323, something like that. 323. Oops, no. 3, 2, and then 3. Then we're gonna set the maths. So we want to divide, not divide, less than. Oh, this is not. Nah, it's not maths. I need to replace this. It's a compare, not maths. There we go. Let's just grab you. There we go. That's much better. And I forgot to make one connection, didn't I? Yes, I did. I forgot to make this one connection here. So let's just grab our cutters. There we go. That should now work. And let's get my screwdriver back out. So input 1 is going to be the reader. I think. I want to rename these anyway. Yeah, I feel I need to. So if the reader is less than the memory unit, an output of 1, and it is 1 at the moment because it's not connected to anything. It's essentially absolute 0 as far as that's concerned, or meaningless essentially. Not a temperature, not NAT, not NAN. And then we can just turn on this to say, hey, just read the compare unit, and then output to the valve and the setting. Is it the setting? On. No, not setting, on. That's fine. So as soon as this temperature rises too much, this is going to shut down. Make sense? Yeah, I think that seems to be fine. And then I just need to run a pipe all the way down there, and we can wait for it to then cool after each furnace run. That should happen automatically if we do it passively. So if I just put in... Where's my computer gone? Let me just put this tool away. So as you can see there, it's 600 degrees, but it's not connected to anything. So this is essentially really hot exhaust gas. Someone has mentioned, by the way, and they've mentioned multiple times, I'm sorry I've forgotten your name, I think it's Eric, something like that. There is a gas generator that we can create, which creates hot gases. We don't necessarily need, apparently, the oxygen hydrogen mix. We just need a really hot gas of some kind to actually melt things. So we can use the exhaust of that kind of system. We will do that later. At the moment, I'm just using combustibles, and that's another way, possibly, of getting this system working. Although I don't like the idea of a gas system that's going to be on all the time. What we'd have to do is have a tank that was insulated. If we didn't, this temperature should fall over time because it should lose heat to the atmosphere, and that's the main issue with a system like that. I just don't have enough resources. I'm working solo on the server, so that's you know, that's fine. Oh, that said, it's not. This isn't actually falling too much, is it? So maybe they are very insulated already. In any case, I just need to run a pipe now around back, coming from here. We may not even need that tank, but let's just have it there for now. And then all the way down here. So I'm going to need to print out, I don't know, 50 pipes? Something like that. And here we go. It's all connected up now. So the pipe valve has turned itself off, or rather the electronics has turned it off. We're sitting at a temperature of 502. It's still bouncing with that tank, so it will take a little bit of time for the gas to flow through. In the meantime, however, I've been making, well, radiators. Let's just see how quickly these work. Let's just clear that for a second, and let's just put 4 on it. And let's see if that's going to affect things quite quickly or not. So we should be able to put these, well, once I've turned them the correct direction, that is. Let's face them. Should we face them up? Yeah, I'm never quite sure if we're going to actually put a wall here or not. So let's just face them up for now. Okay, and let's see what that does to the temperature. Oh, wow. It is actually moving. It is balanced. So that is going to take off the temperature, but quite slowly. We may need quite a few more radiators to affect this to a large degree. Yes. Is that speeding up? I don't think it is. No, that's not speeding up. Maybe I should make more of those. It's golden steel anyway, and we can make both of those quite easily. So let me just tell this to make a few more. Yeah. We've only got enough room for 7 more, I want to say. Yeah, 7 more, so that'll do fine. Yeah, so if you've got any ideas about this, we're approaching the end of the episode, so if you've got any ideas about this, do let me know. I may have to rework it, but otherwise, I think I'm going to put a ramp up there with cladding between the episodes, and then, yeah, we'll come back and talk about that after a few of us had a chance to comment. We'll get more radiators. 1, 3, 4, 5. A degree a second wouldn't be too bad. It really wouldn't. So let's just get the last one out of there. And I'm out of gold, so that'll stop working now. And let's see whether this actually has a much better effect. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Is that 12 so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. 11. Let's take a look at what you're doing now. Oh, that's marginally faster. Yeah, that's ticking away. That's not a degree a second, though. That's more like 7 or 8 seconds a degree. So may want to speed that up with more radiators around the back. But it's all passive. It doesn't take up any power. It just takes up some golden steel. So there's no reason not to use passive means rather than anything else like air conditioning. Air conditioning units just the same size as that consume a huge amount of power to take heat out of a pipe, and you need to put that into another pipe. So it's going to work just like our cooling vent. I have refilled my my tank, but only a little bit. So if we need this kind of system, but instead of a cooling vent on the inside like that, we're going to have a pipe running through it, and then it outputs into this sort of waste vent into our system here. What's this actual temperature at? 67 degrees, which strikes me as maybe too warm, given that I'm not actually growing any plants in there. The temperature, last time I checked in here, was really high. Oh, I'm just going to check. I think I may need more cooling. Let's take a look. Oh, yeah. It's 75 degrees in here. Oh, my. 78, 70, 79. There's no plants in here. The only thing that's warming this up is is the sun. So there's some kind of issue with that wall cooler, and I don't know why, because this was working perfectly before. The pressure is rising, but that's only probably because of the temperature. But I think I need more wall coolers. Let's quickly add another wall cooler to that, shall we? Let's just get outside and make sure that system's fixed. I'm probably going to need gold. You know the thing that I just used up? Yeah, I'm probably going to need that. Let's just let's quickly have a look. Cooling, wall cooler at the bottom. What do you need? Ooh, we've got enough gold. We just need iron and copper. Copper we have. Do we have any iron in here? Nope. I think I'm out of iron. I can't use that furnace. So back to the trusty old broken arc furnace. In fact, I'm probably going to take this down. I'm not going to need this anymore. Once I got that other furnace sorted out, it works much, much better as far as this is concerned. Yeah, I guess we can turn that on and capture the gases. Not that we particularly need the gases. Not that we particularly have a tank to put the gases into, but yeah, we'll capture the gases regardless. Let's get that extra wall cooler in there and see whether that works any better. Okay, so we got some wall coolers. Let's put one here. I want to say I don't really have much more space for a second one, but we can use that if we need to. Let's just grab the cutters, and then we're going to cut you and get a junction going. There we go, and also a corner. All right, now one other thing is that we don't currently have a logic writer, so we need to take that off for a second and change that to a, well, we have a logic writer. We need a batch writer, not a logic writer. So let's just turn you around. And then we're going to read that compare unit. So let's just grab our screwdriver again. Read the compare units. And then we're going to output to the wall coolers. You are in here somewhere. Really need a drop down menu here. Wall coolers. We're going to change the on state and turn you on. You just need a pipe connected now. That's good. So let's just grab this. And we're going to want a corner there. And then a three-way corner here. There we go. So now there's 2 wall coolers. Now, hopefully they will do their job. There was also a bug with the wall coolers recently, apparently, as well. So we'll see whether that was anything to do with why this heated up. I assume it was just eventually the sun took over, but I wouldn't have expected so. It was working well at first, although, you know, we've got to be a bit careful, I guess, in here. What's the atmosphere like in here? It is mostly, well, we haven't taken the oxygen out of it, so that's something I need to cycle through as well. Okay, you two will stay there, and it looks like you are cooling the room. Are you cooling? Yeah, it looks like you're cooling. As long as, of course, we can maintain the power in here, so that is fine. I will let that hopefully do its job, and we'll see next episode whether that worked. It will take too much time otherwise. So that's pretty much the end of this episode. Lots of sort of bug fixing and getting stuff done. So improving the cooling system, just going through our furnace system, getting a cooling system going on the return, and that should be automatic, so that then that tank and that, obviously the pipes, shouldn't get super overpressurized if we go too much. And yeah, we've got a good episode going. If you've got any comments, feel free to leave them below. Otherwise, as always, like, subscribe, share if you haven't already. And we'll see you next episode for some more Stationeers. As always, thanks for watching.